All right, so this next 8 minutes is basically, you guys can come up here to this baseline if you want. This next 8 minutes is basically what we would call individual defense. This is the time that you're going to work on your defense. And the reason, you know, if you noticed a lot of that stuff we were doing, we all had a basketball, right? We all had the ball because that's what the kids want when they come in the gym. They want the ball, okay? So we're not going to deny that fact. We don't want to start them with 30 minutes of, you know, defensive slides with no basketball because that's not what they're here for, okay? So get them that ball in their hand, get them tired, and now you can see everybody's just kind of, now you're going to talk about defense, and now you're going to work on it. And then you say, hey, if you guys really work hard at this, then we're going to play, you know, we're going to play a little bit all together. So now you've got their attention because, hey, you just said the magic word. We're going to play. So when you're out here doing this with them, talk about the individual defense. Talk about, hey, this is basically triple threat without the basketball. You know, you can relate it to anything. But when we talk about individual defense, we're talking about how do you guard the player with the basketball, and then how do you guard your man when he doesn't have the basketball? You need to have those conversations with him. So let's say this gentleman, I'm in charge of guarding you, and you're out there, okay? So a couple different ways that you can do this, okay, is the defensive player can start with the basketball, and you can throw the ball out, and this kid can run out here, and he can get in a defensive stance, and you can just talk about defensive stance. Once again, you put the ball in his hand, you now got his attention, he's throwing it, he's working on a bounce pass, and now you're working on a defensive stance right here. What is this guy working on? Everything is transfer. Transfer everything, okay? So continue to talk about those things. Now, Coach Henson and I have not spoken about defensive philosophies because we've just been tremendously busy these last few weeks. But on the boys' side, we would prefer that when you come out here that we try to force this guy to go towards the baseline or towards the sideline versus if I have my feet like this, I'm inviting him to go to the middle, and I don't want him to go to the middle. Exactly. Same way for the girls, okay? So if the girls are doing that, that's what we want as well. So when you do this, the typical thing that kids will do is they will come completely off to the side and say, there's the basket, okay? So you still want them to stay in front of them, but you just want their right foot up so that their tendency is to go that way, okay? You don't want them to come up and go like that. You want to teach them a good defensive stance. Now, what I would do with young kids is I would say this. All right, Johnny, I want you to bounce past the ball to him. I only want one bounce on it. I want it to get there right at his waist real quickly, and then I want you to sprint out right after you pass it. While the ball's in the air, I want you to sprint out there, close out, stop, get in a defensive stance. And then what I'm going to tell Mike here is I'm going to tell Mike, you do not go until I give you permission. I want to see if Johnny's going to be in a stance first before you go, because you know what Mike's going to do the first time he catches it? Yeah, same thing we all did, right? Yeah, I'm running out, he's going to get, and well, yeah, we got a whole lot of good out of that, didn't we? Okay, because he probably ran 3 steps with it and traveled, right? Okay, so when we make that bounce pass, we want to run out, we want to close out, drop the mic, triple threat, and then Johnny, switch your feet a little bit. Johnny, you're turning wrong. Johnny, put your feet like this so that he doesn't go this way, and then you say, play. And then he tries to guard him on the dribble, okay? So you could do that as well. And then one thing you want to do is have this same thing. Maybe Coach Henson's right there without a basketball. Have this same thing, but maybe add an extra player to it, okay? And you can talk about, okay, I passed the ball out. He's got it. But what do I do if he passes it? And you can have, that player can be anywhere. That player can be right there. It doesn't have to be way across the court. But what do I do now that he has it? Do I guard this guy like he has the ball? And you need to have that conversation. Okay, so now you want to get off of your man and cheat towards the ball a little bit. If it's way on the other side, you want to get to the midline so that you can help. Because if they have a good boy or girl who can drive by that, then you have to be able to help. So you teach them a little bit about ball side, about weak side. Okay? So, and that's just off of this one-on-one drill. And that can progress to one-on-one, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. But with the little kids, it all starts with the stance. And let's say he has the ball again, okay? What you want them to do is you want them to have their hands up and off. So when he starts to dribble, then I'm guarding like this, okay? And at this point, you can talk about defensive slides. You know, when we were growing up, our dads would teach us defensive slide, and we would slide this foot. And we would slide that foot. That's why they were called defensive slides. And now, because that's such a slow move, if you've kept up a little bit with basketball or watched University of Texas or anybody in the clear, they're teaching you to push off with that back foot so that you're not dragging it. And so that's an advanced move, but if you want to keep the kids from being slow, teach them to push off with that back foot instead of sliding, okay?
One of the things is the kids always ask how close do you get to them? Because I know when I coached the little kids, they get right on top and they go all the way up. Give them arm's length. That's a good frame of reference. If you tell them arm's length, if you can reach out and touch them, that's kind of where you want to be. And so you reach out and touch them, that's the right space. Now, when you get advanced, they've got to understand if they're faster than you, you give them more than an arm's length. You give them an arm and a half. If you're faster than they are, you may close a little closer. And that's what we tell them at the high school level. We figure out who's faster. You just got to have that honest conversation with some of them. And so that's arm's length when they close out out there.